got to this stage of the competition?
Yeah. It's been ages. 2 decades, Zali. Yeah, and I remember that finale, which, I think brought Ghana to a standstill because everyone had either their ears or their eyes, on that particular one. I remember the penalty shootout, as well in that grand finale between Kotoko and Hearts. But then, we are talking about a team that's still, making history in Africa. And this is a team that's playing for the very, very first time, in this competition. They've never played in such a competition before, and throughout the qualifying rounds, the prelims, all the way to the group stages, it looks like they've kept one thing intact. That's their focus and also determination. And you look at how they play, they are so disciplined, Dreams FC, and to go away from home all the way to a neighboring, West African country in Mali and get a 2-1 win in the first leg. You wouldn't say the job has already been done. Yes, it's a very, very good advantage. 2 away goals, you have a 1-goal advantage as well. But then when you're playing home, there's still all to play for, because Stade Malien will be thinking we're already down, so there's no fear falling again, and that's where they will throw everything, at you. They will just throw caution to the wind and just play as they can. They wouldn't care. They would just love to take the risk and all that, because they know that they are down, and playing away from home would even be more challenging. But then for Dreams, I think they keep on making Ghana proud, and we're also proud of them.
Yeah. And remember in 2004, during those period, it was not like we played the group stage and 2 best teams qualified to the quarterfinal. It was just 2 groups. So the winners in that group moved straight to the final. So Kotoko topped their group. I remember that season on head-to-head difference with Dolphins FC from Nigeria. They moved to the final. House of Hope topped their group, and they were in the final to play Asante Kotoko. It was a draw in Accra and a score draw in Kumasi. And they made sure they went to, and House of Hope won the trophy. So I remember that tournament very well, and the final was played in January 2005. So 20 years ago, that was the last time we saw a Ghanaian club moving to the upper end of the Confederation Cup, very close to winning the trophy, and that was the time House of Folk won the trophy, and 2 Ghanaian clubs were in the final. You remember the good old days of Charles Taylor, Bernard Donbote, Louis Tajamai, Prince Tego, Dan Kwe, Yawa Makabreku, Sandy Mohammed, all these players, Jojo, Michael Asante, Issa Ahmed, great players from Asante Kotoko and House of Folk respectively, making sure they were able to go to the final stage of the Confederation Cup in 2004. So that is massive achievement for Ghana football. And remember, from that time, we were able to build a strong both club football and national team football. That is why right from the 2004 qualifiers, we were able to go to the 2006 World Cup. And Issa Ahmed, who was part of the Kotoko team, was part of the Black Stars team at that time. Remember, later on, Sila Elias joined Asante Kotoko. He was part of the Black Stars in that time. Dan Kwe was in House of Folk. He was part of the Black Stars in that time. So you can see once the local league is doing well in terms of international football, competing well in the interclub competition, it has influence on your main national team. That is why we saw great players moving into the national team right from the local team, and they command first 11, even in our maiden World Cup. So it tells you when a Ghanaian club is able to go far when it comes to the interclub competition, the Confederation Cup and the Champions League, it has effects on the national team. Remember when House of Folk won the Champions League in 2000, most of the players were worked straight into the Black Stars. I remember during those periods, that was the time Cecil Jones Atukwuefe even used 10 players from House of Folk with 1 other team player represented the Black Stars of Ghana. They didn't lose that game. So it tells you once your team is doing well in the interclub competition, it has influence on the national team proper, national team A, that is the Black Stars. So I'm happy to see a team like Doom Chelsea, first time in the Confederation Cup, they've been able to move to the group stage. In a group that had a North African side, Club African, one of the powerhouse when it comes to Nigerian football, Rivers United, in the group, and they were able to make it to the semi-final stage of the competition.
I think maybe these sides may have underestimated Dreams. I mean, Gles, you talk about Club Africa, no doubt about it. We know their pedigree. But the rest of them may have thought they have an equal chance. The Angolans perhaps maybe underestimated Dreams. You know, they qualified on the second round. Rivers, yes, once upon a time, they were quite solid. You know, they've skipped down to the Confederation. But maybe they didn't give Dreams the respect they needed. And Dreams have made them pay the price. Now, they're just 90 minutes away, perhaps, from that historic semi-final berth.
Yeah, I don't think you're far from right. You know, there's a team that has never played in this competition before. So normally going into tournaments like this, the only thing or the only advantage that opponents would have, you know, with regards to trying to track their previous games, is to watch their preliminary, their qualifying games. And you could see Dreams playing 2 games prior to, you know, advancing to the group stages. And even in their first game, they went all the way to Tunisia and lost to Club African by 2-0. So going into the subsequent games, all these things will be thinking, see, they've lost to Club African. They are rookies, you know, they are newbies in the tournament. So there's no need to be so, you know, just hard on ourselves whenever we are coming up against a team like that. But then just look at the records. Yeah, just, you know, some impeccable, you know, good records for them, impressive records, because winning, the only loss so far was against Club African, and already in that Rivers United game they had qualified. They had a 99% chance of qualifying when they traveled to Nigeria to play against Rivers United.
They even scored there.
Yeah, they scored. They took the lead, and then Rivers United, it took them, I think, the last 5 minutes to equalize and also take the lead. But then after that, Club African lost in the opening game. Just look at the number of points they were able to amass in that time. In 4 games, they picked up the maximum, 12 points. And I believe in every game they played, the teams were like, no, this is just a Mino. No, this is a rookie. There's nothing to be worried about. But then they kept on, you know, staying focused, kept their feet on the ground, and they kept on churning out the results. And I think the biggest win for them in the group stages was that 3-2 away win at Angola. And that was the win that you know, sparked most of the teams to come to believe that they could also go away to Angola and win against Academica de Lobito. So for Dreams FC, you know, you wouldn't fault these teams because no one has ever heard of their name, you know, as far as the African continent is concerned. Who knows Dreams FC? No one knows Dreams FC. But then also, yeah, you can look at that consistency over there. Aside winning away at Lobito, to win away at Stade Malien, yeah, it's a huge feat for Dreams FC. And I believe that's why they'll be coming into this game with less pressure. Yes, there's still all to play for, but then the pressure wouldn't have been as if they had lost or even drawn the first game.
No doubt about that. If you go through the records, as you guys are rightly saying, making sure they score literally in every game, with the exception of, you know, yeah, in fact, they did score in every game. If you look at it,
African.
Yeah, Club African away, you know, very difficult. The North Africans have proven that, but they're always going to get a goal. And I think for the Malians, they were stunned when Dreams equalized, and then within minutes took the lead. They didn't have time to respond. Psychologically, they would also be under pressure to try and do something. If Dreams get the first goal, it's all over.
Obviously, and yeah, when you look at Dreams FC, their route to the quarterfinal, almost going to the semi-final, either you beat them or they beat you. There is no draw game. If producer can put the results on the TV again, there is no draw game for Dreams FC. A 2-0 loss to Club African. Came to Ghana, they won by 2-1 against Rivers United. Went to Atletico de Lobito, won by 3-2. 4-0 against Lobito. And of course, one of the best games I've seen from Dreams FC this particular season is their game against Club African. It was a tight game in Kumasi. They won by 1-0. Went to Nigeria, lost 2-1 to Rivers United, and won away in Mali. When you look at the crowd, the kind of people who were supporting the Stade Malien team, for Dreams FC to go there, and yes, there was no crowd, but when you look at the other games that they played, for them to go there and win by 2-1, it tells you Dreams FC has done a great job in this particular competition.
And it's also, it's also, what's the word to use? I wanted to, not an advert, I want another word for Karim Zito. It's just brings his profile. Again, there's been talk about him getting big up, you know, at the Black Stars job and the rest of it, but he says he decided not to go for it. But if he's able to win or even get to the final, that should show his competence, not just on the domestic scene, mind you.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there is any local coach in this local scene who has got opportunities around the national team much more than Zito. Being in under 17 about 2 or 3 occasions. Being under 20 about 2 or 3 occasions. Even coaching the under 15. So in the last 5 years, if you are talking about a coach who has got the luck in coaching national team, Coach Zito is the number one in this country. So in terms of coaching our national team, we've seen him right from under 15, under 17, under 20. So as to he can coach the Black Stars or not, that is not a topic and a debate in this country. But he has got the luck to coach most of our national team in the last 5 years. That is Karim Zito.
All right. Stade Malien, they've got a name in Africa. We know that. They've got a pedigree, but they're not the Stade Malien of old, where Hartsville and Kotoko used to battle back in the day. And if you look at that, they also had to deal with the RSB Bekan from, I think, Morocco. But their record as well, they've not really been scoring, apart from Diable Noir, where they got 3 goals in that game. But also a bit of inconsistency, isn't it? If you look at their last game, they were walloped 3-0 before they played Dreams FC. So they've not been that consistent, have they?
Yeah. I think the record speaks for itself, and there's no free scoring side. If you compare their numbers and the number of goals they score in a game compared to Dreams FC, and they've lost a chunk of these games they've played as well. Compare that to Dreams FC, who I think have lost just twice, in their last 8 or so or 7 games. You look at the form guide of Stade Malien, and they've lost quite a number of games, and it's still shocking how they managed to just qualify from their group. Because with this record, if they had found themselves in Dreams FC's group, maybe they wouldn't have made it out of the group with the record they had, because they won 3 and drew 1 out of the 6 games, which means they accrued 10 points, in the group. But then the last 2 games is something to take a keen look at. It means their form is gradually dipping, because to win all these number of games in their first 5 games in the group stages, they won 3, drawn 1, they drew 1, and they lost 1. Then in their last group stage game, that was where they lost 3-0 heavily to RS Berkane. Then their quarterfinal first leg game, they lost 2-1 to Dreams FC. And you take a look at their domestic form, that's in the league, the Malian top flight, in which they apply their trade. And I think they really struggle with goals, because they do not even average a goal per game in the league. They've scored just 13 goals, in the games they've played, close to 20 games, and they've also conceded 13 goals domestically. That shows you that they are not that clinical in front of goal, and that's one advantage for Dreams FC. If they are able to shut stop this, Stade Malien attack, then it means they just have, the upper hand in this particular tie. I think with their scoring record, which is questionable, that's one thing Stade Malien will be hoping to improve within 90 minutes in this game. But then for Dreams FC, all they have to do is to just keep concentration level very, very high. It doesn't drop, in the game. They just have to defend with men behind the ball. They just have to attack when they have to attack. They just have to be disciplined, because we've seen ties being turned, on its head in the first 10-15 minutes of games like this. Very, very tricky ties, especially when you have the advantage and you come into a game like this and you feel that it's all done and dusted. Yeah, that's when the opponent can also take advantage of, that, psyche or psychology, and also try and make a mark over there. So for Dreams FC, they just need to keep concentration level high. Stade Malien are not scoring a lot of goals, and that's one plus for them. But then also, the first thing they have to do is to prevent them from scoring this game, which will be very, very crucial for them.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And, their confidence will be up if they're able to. They look like a balance of a young side with a few experienced players. If you look at the Stade Malien current team.
Yes, after watching their game against Dreams FC, yeah, equally like the Dreams FC team, some few experienced players, and most of the players are young. And you look at the Malian, even their national team in recent times, they produce most of the young players in the African continent in recent times. They, Mali and Senegal and the likes, have been producing young players in recent times when it comes to African football. So I'm not really surprised those Stade Malien is producing young players nowadays in their league. And they are facing the kind of thing that is worrying our football in this country. Most of these local players, after 2-3 years, they move to France. Just like our own. After 2-3 years, most of our key players in our league move outside the country. That is the kind of things Mali is facing when it comes to their domestic football. So when you look at this Stade Malien team that is facing Dreams FC, after a year or two, about 70% will not be found in Mali. They will play in other leagues. Sometimes the second tier of the French league and stuff. So they've been consistent in moving players outside France. And when you look at the Stade Educator Academy in Mali, they've been producing great players, both their national team and their domestic team. So no wonder Stade Malien team looks more younger in recent times, and one of the teams that can have 19, 20, 21 players in the Africa competition. So they are doing well. For Dreams FC, they had the luck, and sometimes some lack of the draw is crucial when it comes to this stage. And I think Dreams FC, they've only met one North African team, that is Club Africain. The rest of the teams are not typical North African teams when it comes to the interclub competition. So sometimes lack of the draw is very crucial when it comes to the interclub competition.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As I said, top of the hour, to kick off, it'll be Dreams in Kumasi. And Kumasi has been their home. They've held well, pretty well, and I'm sure the fans of Babayara would, troop there to watch them. This evening, Hearts of Oak will be in action. That will be on Star Times, mind you. They return to their old citadel, their Accra Sports Stadium, where they welcome BBN Gold Stars. That's on Star Times. I must just reiterate that so that you don't come holding me when the match kicks off at 6. It is an evening kickoff after Dreams Continental, assignments. And Coach Karim Zito is very confident as well. He's not underestimated the opponents. He's given them the respect, but you can tell he has that confidence that they should score a lot of goals to give their semi-final opponents a lot to worry about when that time comes.
In the course of the week, we spoke to the coach of Dreams FC, Karim Zito, on Sports Park, 89.7 Accra. And he's talked about, after playing 90 minutes in Mali, it's a different ball game in Ghana. Because of the VAR and the eye watching some of these games when it comes to African football, once it's on TV, most players are determined to show all out, to make sure people will monitor them, for scouts to monitor the kind of football they are playing on the African continent. So they know it's a different 90 minutes for what we saw in Mali and a different one in Ghana. So people are tipping them that they will qualify, but it's not going to be an easy game in Kumasi. The Stade Malien team is not a bad team, but Dreams FC will have to play above what they did in Mali to get the maximum qualification to the semi-final stage of the competition.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully we'll hear from Coach Karim Zito just before kickoff, and also confirmation of the lineups. I think the lineups are in. We'll discuss that a little bit further. But also to boost Dreams FC's own domestic campaign, they need to be assured of at least getting to that semi-final and then come back and focus. I think that has disturbed their form on the domestic scene. Looking at where they stand now in the Ghana Premier League.
Yeah. You look at the standards now, and it will be pretty difficult to.
It's the concentration, isn't it?
You have to split it, and that's what cost Mediama. And you can see that challenging for the title again, or trying to defend the title after you've won it and playing in Africa the subsequent season becomes very, very difficult, because we saw how good Mediama were the season they won the league. Now the following season they had to turn attentions to also playing in Africa, and also it's the top tier of African club competition. That's the CAF Champions League, where you play against the creme de la creme of African football. That makes it even more difficult. But for Dreams FC, they are just trying to pay attention a bit to the CAF Confederation, because at this point, even if prior to the commencement of this tournament, they felt like we wouldn't go that far. They never even thought they could go that far. Now, looking at where they are now, they'll start believing that we are just 90 minutes away from, a historic semi-final, and then 2 games or 180 minutes away from a possible final. And it's important. But for Dreams FC, for the league, they'll always try to maintain their Premier League status. That's very, very key. Then they have another eye on the FA Cup, where they have a quarter-final appearance against Soccer Intellectuals, which is the ticket on which they were able to play, in Africa this season.
And they're probably favourites in that as well. So they've really got to keep their feet on the ground.
Exactly, and that's what they're doing. But then it's about just getting this job done. Then they come back to domestically and focus on the FA Cup and the league.
To do well in the interclub competition, you need to be consistent.
Right.
When you look at most
get experience, keep your team,
tournament experience, most of these players need to get the tournament experience. It's not easy to come and for the first time you win the Confederations Cup or the Champions League. And I think Dreams FC, after getting to the semi-final, even if they win the tournament, the best thing for them is to qualify the following season. And when you look at the teams in the FA Cup, in Swatremai, Legon Cities,
they are the favourites. They're defending champions.
They will face Soccer Intellectual. The winner will join them in the semi-final. And I think still, Dreams FC is the favourite to win the FA Cup.
No doubt about it. Okay, well, the Malians arrived in Kumasi on the military jets, military plane, So that was yesterday. But Dreams obviously went to Mali with the intention to at least get a good result. They did better than that. They got the best result by winning. Let's take a look at the highlights of that game.
The final 10 minutes from the two men leading the line today. See, they're making their way on for a few more than that. They are such a young side. First piece of work for their 7. Antwi is the only one of the 22 men on the pitch over the age of 30. It's interesting. First, lovely run across his man from it will be Koulibaly again. He lays it off, and it's struck by Diaby, and he finds the bottom corner, and there is our opener. Finished bottom of that group, but it's been a good year for Ghanaian football. Is it going to be a better one? Yes, it is. There's the equaliser. Dreams get their first ever. Very unfortunate. It was Boateng Mensah forcing the issue as well, getting the shot away. National commemoration of that date. Who's going to be the martyr here? The turnaround. Antwi versus Traore. A deep breath. And the finish. Emphatic. John Antwi has 2. Dreams have 2. And not just 2 goals, but 2 away goals. And now he has Dreams turn.
Yep, the highlights there, Dreams coming back after going a goal down. And VAR, sometimes we criticize VAR, but on this occasion, it was the perfect remedy. I doubt if the referee he had to check. He didn't see that openly and went back to check and indeed gave that penalty. So VAR coming to the rescue, and hopefully you have the same situation in Kumasi where the referees will be assisted. It is a big game and you don't want to make those mistakes. If you have to take a decision, it's good to get help where technology can help. And Kumasi would definitely be in a mood for a game like this. It's a continental game. Mali is well respected. We saw them at the AFCON where they were beaten by the hosts, Ivory Coast. They've got a good team. They play well. Ghana will be playing Mali in the World Cup qualifiers in June. So that interest is there. People should go out and see good football.
And talking about the VAR, remember the first time the VAR came to this country was Ghana against Nigeria, the decider in Kumasi. And you remember Idris Baba, Nigeria had a penalty in the 18-yard box, and they were close to scoring 1 goal, and it was because of the VAR. That is why the referee went back, watched, and decided not to take the penalty. So sometimes the VAR is one of the best things happening to football in recent times. So it went to our advantage in the game against Nigeria. In Mali, it went to Dreams FC's advantage. So it means the VAR, in some aspects, is really helping the game, especially when it comes to African football at this stage. So we will experience that in Kumasi again against Stade Malien and Dreams FC in Kumasi.
Yeah, if you've just joined us, Nana Edu is here, so to Josiah Okokwe. We're building up to kickoff. It is Dreams FC and Stade Malien at the top of the hour. We're about 22 minutes or 23 minutes away from kickoff at the top of the hour from the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. And Coach Karim Zito has these words before kickoff.
When you look, Solomon used to be our first, number 1, definitely. But along the line, he started coming down. So definitely, if you want to do changes, you want to bring him up again, you have to take risk. So I took the risk and started using the young boy. And when you watch his game, before even Hasefoko, the way he conceded, he lacks certain things. So I told the goalkeeper trainer to start working on him. But as at that time too, Solomon was coming seriously up. So I used Solomon against Samatex. Then he showed. Then we came back to play, Nations. he should. And even one of the officials of nation said they need his service. And then again, we went to Mediama. That was where he convinced me that he's not ready. So that is why you see Solomon used to be our first number one goal, so he's now back. Yeah.
Yes.
Now we groomed these boys to change their lives through so many means in the game. So Agbesi too, after the All African game, he came back. I used him the first half against Mediama, and I saw no, so I have to change him fast. Brought in Enchi, because Enchi who got sick after the Rivers game. 6 starting line did not play against Amates, did not play against Hasselhoff, did not play against except what you call him, Enchi. So that how come you? But so now the boy is in Germany. Yeah, even yesterday he called me. And do you know what he told me? It's like he was doing rehearsals, because all what he's been taught there, I've been teaching them here. Yes.
Okay, so the record of Karim Zito there on the screen for you to see, not bad at all. And the stats, matches drawn none, just lost the one, or 2 actually in the competition. And 13 goals scored is not bad at all. This is the first time. And for a team, quote unquote, as inexperienced, perhaps the Angolans to an extent, we're also very much inexperienced, even Rivers to a point. But, for Dreams, very, very first time in Africa, it is not bad at all. And they are looking at going all the way. And the teams that they could potentially face are not that scary for them. They have a real chance and a good shot at taking this title if they're able to dismiss Stade Malien this afternoon.
Yeah. You look at the goals scored, quite okay. 13 goals scored in 7, which means that's close to 2 goals per game. And it's also the number of goals they've conceded. I think in 7 games, if you should concede 8 goals, it means that there's something wrong with that defense. And they've been switching, that's the defensive line for some time now, and due to injuries, where you have Jalilu, who is the mastermind at the back there. But then when they traveled away to Mali, it was a 3-back for them. I don't know if he's going to go with a 4-back now, to allow some flexibility and also more men in midfield. Because once you go with a 3-back, it means you want to make good use of the flanks, because you'll be playing with wing backs in that system. But then scoring 13 goals in 7 games, let's not forget that this is the first ever time they are playing in the CAF Confederation Cup. They've never played in any continental tournament. This is the first time they're doing it. And, since the commencement of their adventure campaign in the CAF Confederation Cup, Karim Zito doesn't stop talking about the fact that they are raw, they are rookies, they are greenhorns, they lack experience. But then, you should also give them credit, because it looks like each game comes with a new challenge, and with each game they become more matured, and that's why they are playing at the level they are playing. They make mistakes in games. It looks like they correct those mistakes going into the next game, and they even become better than the previous game, and that's how they've gotten this far. And getting to the semi-finals is just 90 minutes away, where they have to put in some hard work, a good shift, play above what it did in Mali a couple of days ago, because it looks achievable. At this point, it looks so achievable. Even away from home, if you're able to, get the better of the Stade Malien team, then not to talk of when you're playing right in front of the Kumasi faithfuls, who I believe will troop in this afternoon to offer their maximum support to the team. I'm looking at what they are doing now, and it looks like they are relishing it, and they would want to continue again for one more season in Africa. They wouldn't want that story to end now. They wouldn't want the fairy tale to end now. They would go as far as they can this season and hope that they can, go again next season and see how far they could go in that particular one.
No doubt at all. Okay, we've seen the stats. Stade Malien also, they say they're underdogs and they respect Ghana football. They know the kind of football that Ghana brings to the table, and they're given that respect. Let's hear what one of their players had to say.
Well, I know Dreams FC very well. When I was playing with Dreams FC, we scored more goals, especially the coach, Karim Zito. Yeah, so I don't want to say much. Anything can happen. In football, anything can happen. Yeah, it's true, we lost. Very painful loss. But I know, inshallah, tomorrow everything can happen. We can even win, the game and qualify. That's the only thing I want to say.
Yep, obviously the respect is there. They know Karim Zito and of course Dreams as well. And this is where Dreams would also make their intentions known by doing it as expected. And that's the difference now. Your favourites as against when people don't expect you to be, and your underdogs, Josiah, your performance can be different.
Yeah. Now there are no more underdogs. Yeah, you look at the kind of performances they've churned out. It's very difficult to say that Dreams are underdogs going into such a tie, especially when they have the advantage too. You just don't call them underdogs anymore, and that's where it becomes even more dangerous for them, because now you wouldn't be riding on that underdog tag. You know, teams love it when they are being tagged as underdogs, because they go into the game with less expectations. They just go into the game to show what they have. But now that you're expected to qualify, that's more pressure on you, because Stade Malien at this point will be thinking, see, let's just go for this one. You know, it's the last chance we have. We have only 90 minutes away from a potential exit. So maybe we can just change, you know, and turn around our fortunes. But then for Dreams FC, everyone expects them to qualify. And you're looking at the teams remaining and the teams that, you know, have a better chance of qualifying. And yeah, I think Dreams FC have a better chance of, again, qualifying, you know, staging another upset and qualifying to the grand finale. They just have to, you know, get this game done and over with. Once they are done with this one, they could be thinking about the next possible opponent. But then, yeah, going into this game, you expect the experience of Johnny Nchi, who scored a double for them, you know, when they traveled to Mali, to come to the fore. Not just him, Ajenim is there, Godfrey Chiaini, who will be partnering Emmanuel Ije in midfield, and, you know, Suhini and Co. These players, Jalilu, who has also been rock solid for them at the back, you know, to just come to the fore for them. I expect all the players to be in full groove this afternoon. I expect the players to play above their weight. They just need to stay concentrated, because now there's VAR in the corner. So it's not just about, you know, the first time decisions, but the referee also has the benefit of visiting this, you know, technology and also making decisions. And once it's gone for you in the first leg, yeah, this is football, and football is a funny sport. You know, these tiny decisions wouldn't go unnoticed. So there's a time that they need to play carefully. They need to be very, very cautious when they are playing.
Caution to the wind. Let's hear from a Dreams FC, so then we can come back to Naneido.
There's always pressure on players, and you know, this competition is like a once in a lifetime something. So getting here, and if you look at our age categories, getting here, there's going to be pressure. But as I said earlier on, he talking to us as a father, as a mentor, as an ex-footballer, and as a coach. He makes us remove every fear in us. So before the match, if you come to our dressing room, most of the times he uses himself as example. So you get into the match, he has already cleared your brain of any pressure. Yeah, so that's what is helping us here. So if we enter any game, even if it's not our home ground, there's no pressure on us. We play it like how we play our normal game. Yeah, so that's what helps us a lot.
Okay, so, I mean, definitely that respect is there, but Karim Zito's name keeps coming through, and it shows you the impact or the importance that man has been. Yeah,
you know, and, you know, he's more like a fathership with the players has also been key, and that's why most of the players, whenever given the opportunity to speak, you know, it's more of like words of eulogy, you know, to this particular head coach, you know, and they just love him being around. They enjoy, you know, working under a very experienced man like Karim Zito. He's so experienced. We've spoken about, you know, his credentials. He's won the Wafu Zone, you know, tournament with the under-20s. You know, he's gone so far in the under-20 AFCON as well. You know, there's a coach who has done it. He's proven beyond reasonable doubt that he's still the man with so much experience when it comes to, you know, the African terrain as far as Ghanaian coaches are concerned. And it's no surprising that, you know, two teams went to Africa. Yeah, and Dreams FC are still making waves because they have one, you know, sound mind, you know, with regards to the technical, you know, bench, which is directing the team. So for Dreams FC, you can't talk about Dreams FC without talking about Karim Zito. He's the man who masterminds everything from the preliminary stage, you know, up onto this stage. Yeah, it's been his brain that is working, and you can see it whenever Dreams FC go onto the turf and play. It's just simply Karim Zito's, you know, philosophy.
Yeah, Nana, handling being favourites is different from being an underdog. They have to understand that and not let, you know, their fans down.
Yeah, especially when, you know, complacency starts to set in, you know, after winning away games like that. You know, when you come back, if you don't motivate these players, or they may think they've already qualified to the next stage of the competition. So you monitor Issa Yakubu of Stade Malien, formerly of Dreams FC. He said a lot about the Dreams FC team that they are coming to face. It tells you he really knows the team, and they believe they need to make an impact in Kumasi. And it's a different ball game. We may see a different Stade Malien against Dreams FC today. And even though I tip them to qualify ahead of Stade Malien, it's not going to be an easy game for Dreams FC. Yeah.
What would be the fine margins? Obviously, yeah, if VAR is there, you're rest assured that just do your job. You know, there's no Kululu. Yeah. There are still mistakes. It can happen, but you are sure that if you play well, do your job, you should be able to qualify, you know, to the next round. Yep. The fans should be there. Mm-hmm. It won't be half stadium, but they'll get a good sizable turnout to support them.
Definitely. You've spoken about the fine margins, and you know, it was funny when I was following the game when they traveled to Stade Malien, and Stade Malien scored first, and I was asking how are they going to overturn this one, because it's always difficult. But then once, you know, VAR came to play, you know that, you know, it was just going to be a good day for Dreams FC. That's why earlier on I spoke about the fact that sometimes you just need to be tactically, you know, disciplined. You keep your shape. You don't commit any silly fouls in and around the 18-yard box.
All right. It's time for action. Talking will stop for now. Dreams FC versus Stade Malien du Mali. First half about to get underway.
Which sees Dreams FC take on Stade Malien. The Baba Yara Stadium not quite full to capacity, as you can see. It's an impressive capacity, a little over 40,000. There are plenty of Dreams fans